in that report, they claim that that the Pentagon is illegally withholding information from Congress about a secret UAP program. And that secret UAP program is considered a parent program of other programs, but it's called Immaculate Constellation. I was told I had it confirmed by a second source that this is the name. I also was told that if we revealed the name, that we would probably get under surveillance.
If I wanted to spread misinformation or disinformation, if I was an intelligence agent, I think I would get someone to be a whistleblower. I would sanction whistleblowers. I would tell them, go on podcasts, go on radio shows, go on television, and discuss all these different disclosures. And you can't tell them everything. Your top secret stuff, some stuff you got to keep secret. Boy, I wish I could tell you, but there's more I can't tell you. There's a lot going on. And that's a really good way, I would think, if I was in control of a narrative that I wanted to be continuously slippery. Like, this is a very slippery conversation. Like, you never get to the end of it.
And what would be the motivation?
Because there's some sort of a program that exists that they want to hide, and the best way to hide it is to continually bring up and then debunk these fake programs.
I'm comfortable saying I'm like 95% that the government is hiding information.
Okay. So,
and the reason I'm so confident of that is because Donald Trump said so multiple times, that they're hiding information. And I cite him in the article.
They probably told him that. And also, they lied to him about a bunch of stuff.
Oh, sure.
Didn't even tell him about Chinese drones because they were worried he was going to shoot him down.
So they told him something that he says has not been made public to the American people. So if that's so my view is, look, if you think it's either a secret weapons program, that it's a government disinformation program, that it's just missightings, then I want the government. They have an obligation to tell us.
Politics now. Congress will return to Washington after the presidential election. And when lawmakers do come back, the House Oversight Subcommittee that's been looking into unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAPs, will continue its work. NewsNation correspondent Joe Khalil is live on Capitol Hill. So, Joe, what is the status of the committee's work? And do we know what they'll be focusing on when they're back in D.C.?
Yeah, so there's a lot that Congress is going to have on its plate when they come back after the election. But this UAP topic is going to be one of those agenda items. We've confirmed that both in the House and in the Senate, there are currently being planned hearings on this topic. In the House, it should be in the House Oversight Committee, which is the same committee, by the way, that held that blockbuster hearing last year. You're seeing images of it right now, featuring that whistleblower David Grush, who came forward on NewsNation First. It's going to be a little bit of different players, but some of the same lawmakers. This time around, Congresswoman Nancy Mace is going to be leading this hearing. November 13th was their goal date, but I'm told that's not set in stone yet. I have spoken to Congresswoman Mace about this. She says there are still a couple of witnesses that they want to pin down. They didn't give any details yet about what they're going to want to focus on, but she said the witness list is still in flux, partly because they don't want to reveal who they may be talking to in fear of those people being potentially intimidated out of testifying at some point. Another piece that may or may not be part of this hearing is the new reporting from Immaculate Shellenberger. And you may have seen this on NewsNation, the independent journalist reporting that a whistleblower has come forward to Congress revealing what he says is the existence of an illegal and classified program that's known as Immaculate Constellation. Shellenberger's reporting says that this whistleblower claims that program is, in fact, a reverse engineering UAP program that is currently being run. The fact that he named it was something new. We hadn't seen anything like that before. So that whistleblower coming forward, Congress, we've spoken to a couple of members here. They have questions about it. They want to learn more about it. This is what Shellenberger told our Ross Coulthard about why it was important to cover that story specifically. Take a listen.
So whether or not you think there are extra terrestrials or non-human intelligence or anything, even if you think that all of this is just some sort of advanced craft, the allegation here by a new whistleblower verified by other sources in a position to know is that the Defense Department has withheld, kept secret this information from Congress, which is a violation of the Constitution and illegal.
Now, the Pentagon vehemently denying that this program exists. They say they've got no record ever of any program with that name. So interesting, when Congress comes back, we'll see how they handle this.
Yeah, we certainly will. All right, Joe Khalil, live for us in Washington. Joe, thank you.
Down. I'm joined now by the Hill opinion contributor and former analyst at the Departments of State and Defense, Merrick von Reinenkamp. Merrick, great to have you. What do you make of this? I mean, yet another person coming forward with a new story, but still basically of the same theme, that there's a secret Pentagon program with secret evidence that the public and lawmakers know nothing about.
That's right, Elizabeth, and you alluded to it a little bit in the kind of the opening to the segment. But what I like to maybe take a more of an analytic approach, and if we zoom out, in the news cycle, we focus on the latest breaking developments and the whistleblowers, but the smoke now around this UFO story is unbearable. It's choking. There is so much here. And again, from an analytic perspective, the system is blinking red, right? We have Chuck Schumer, the most powerful senator, who has proposed bipartisan legislation that says that the government has these secret, unreported UFO retrieval and reverse engineering programs. You have remarkable commentary from just about every single former national security official in recent years about UFOs. And just to maybe tie this in, we've heard from President Trump, President Obama. They've all made remarkable statements. It's an incredible shift from where we were over the last several decades.
Just so our viewers know, Merrick, go back to what former Presidents Trump and Obama have said, because I want to remind our viewers.
Yes, absolutely, and I want to tie this directly back to what Mike Shellenberger just said in that segment. And there was an incident reportedly, according to this new whistleblower of F-22 fighter jets, truly our newest and most advanced fighter jets, basically being chased and shadowed by orbs. That's the allegation. President Trump has said the exact same thing. He said he has heard from Air Force F-22 pilots who had encounters with spherical objects. And if viewers go to arrow.mil, that is the U.S. government's UFO analysis office, the most commonly reported UFO is spherical, it's round, and apparently has some remarkable characteristics. So again, I'll just
and what did former President Obama say?
Former President Obama a few years ago said that I'm going to quote as directly as I can, but there is footage and records of objects in the skies, and we cannot explain how they moved and their trajectory. And he's also spoken about the implications if these UFOs, UAP, are indeed non-human, and that is the language that Chuck Schumer uses. He's openly discussed how that might change politics and how that might change our perspective on the cosmos, and it most certainly would have some pretty remarkable ramifications. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I think it feels like we've crossed a Rubicon here from the days when anybody who said, I think there's evidence that there are UFOs or that aliens have visited Earth, which, by the way, it's incredibly, I think, prehistoric to think we're the only intelligent life in the entire universe. But we've crossed this Rubicon from thinking, oh, if you say something or believe something like that, where's your tinfoil hat, to now having not one but two, at least, former presidents of the United States leading current members in high-ranking positions in Congress who say there might be something here.
Absolutely. Again, the smoke is overwhelming. And to your point, I think the tinfoil hats should now be worn by the people who are denying that there's something to this story. It is just a remarkable switch. We went from in the 1950s and the 1960s to official debunking and obfuscation and truly ridicule. You can look this up. The first head of the CIA said openly that publicly the government is ridiculing witnesses and individuals who've seen, and very credible folks, by the way. But behind the scenes, this is a direct quote. This is in CIA archives. You can find this, that behind the scenes, Air Force officers are soberly concerned, was the actual quote. So this is truly a remarkable shift. And I just want to drive this home, that this is truly bipartisan. We have John Brennan, the former CIA director, said that UFOs could, quote, constitute a different form of life. Pretty remarkable from a former CIA director.
When talking about UFOs, he's like, I don't know, a one-way ticket to the fringe.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
But now it's like we've walked through a door or something, and like everything's different. It's mainstream. It's in Congress. Even presidents are mentioning it.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's wild.
So today, we're diving deep right into all of that. We're talking UFOs, government whistleblowers, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And to help us make sense of it all, we've got the insights of Merrick von Rennenkamp.
Okay.
He's a former analyst
Wow.
for both the State Department and the Department of Defense.
Seriously.
Yeah. And he was recently on Elizabeth Vargas Reports.
But I saw that.
He did not hold back.
He did not. And you're right to point out, the sheer number of people coming forward now, and the fact that a lot of them, they aren't just some random person, These are people with backgrounds, with the security clearances, who've built careers on this stuff.
Yeah. So let's get into it. One of the biggest things von Rennenkamp talked about was this alleged program, Immaculate Constellation.
Yeah.
Now, we've all heard whispers about secret government stuff, right? But if this is true, and that's a big if, this is different. This program is supposedly like a gold mine of UFO data, photos, videos, even government documents.
See, and that's what makes this so interesting. This isn't just someone saying, oh, I saw something weird. This is suggesting there's actual proof out there somewhere. And sure, we haven't seen it, but it definitely makes you wonder.
It does. And von Rennenkamp doesn't present this as like a one-off thing. He says this is part of a larger trend with more and more former officials coming forward with similar stories.
Right. And that's where things get really interesting, right? Because when you have multiple people, especially people who seem credible, all telling the same story, well, it's hard to just dismiss it all as nothing. It's like this ripple effect where the more people talk, the harder it is to ignore.
It's like a conspiracy of credibility almost.
Exactly.
You get these puzzle pieces and they kind of start to fit together, And speaking of fitting together, even former presidents Trump and Obama have said some pretty interesting stuff about UFOs.
They have. And it's a big deal because for the longest time, nobody wanted to touch this topic.
Yeah.
At all. So when someone like Trump comes out and says he's heard these reports from pilots about these spherical objects and that he even talked to the pilots directly, well, it kind of changes things,
It does. And it's not like he was just mentioning it in passing. It sounded like he was actually digging for information.
Yeah.
Then you have Obama, who was a little more vague, but still admitted there are things caught on camera that we just can't explain.
Yeah.
And he even hinted at what it could mean if it turns out these things are, not from here.
Right, which is the big question, isn't it? Where are these things coming from? And that shift from just laughing it off to actually taking it seriously, that's what von Rennenkamp was talking about. That shift is huge because it's like this door that's been slammed shut for years, and now it's finally starting to open a crack.
And it's not just whispers anymore. It's like Congress is holding hearings now. They're demanding the Pentagon tell them what's going on.
I know, right? It's not some conspiracy theory anymore. It's like front page news.
Exactly. And this is where things get really wild. Hold on to your hats wild. Because von Rennenkamp, he says his whistleblower, this person claims that F-22s, those super advanced fighter jets?
Yeah.
They've been, get this, chased and shot down by UFOs.
Okay, so this is where we got to take a step back for a second. Don't get me wrong. It's an amazing story. But remember what they say. Extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence.
Totally. It's like you're watching that awesome sci-fi movie, you're on the edge of your seat, and then, bam, the screen goes black. You're like, wait, what just happened? I need answers.
Right. You need something solid to hold on to. We can get caught up in the excitement, but we also need to be, realistic.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why this whole bipartisan thing is so interesting to me. Because von Rennenkamp, he points out that this isn't just one group of people pushing for this. He mentions John Brennan, the former CIA director.
Yeah.
Even he said publicly that there are these unexplained things flying around.
And that's huge for a couple of reasons. First, It means this isn't just some political football anymore, you know? It's like both sides are admitting there's something weird happening.
So you can't just brush it off so easily.
Exactly. Second, and maybe even bigger, is who Brennan I.S., right?
Okay.
He was the CIA director. He knows things, man. So when Etchy says there's something out there, that means something.
That's like, okay, maybe we need to pay attention here. So we've got whistleblowers, we've got former presidents, we've got top officials, and now Congress is involved. This feels massive.
It really does. It's like, we used to laugh this stuff off, right? Called it crazy talk. But now it's like, maybe we don't know everything. Maybe there's more to the universe than we thought.
It's wild, right? Like, it makes you rethink everything you thought you knew.
Seriously. And, you know, with all this talk about secret programs and aliens, it's easy to forget that just a little while ago, even bringing this up was a surefire way to get laughed at.
Oh, totally.
Von Rennenkampf, he actually compares it to the 50s and 60s when the government was basically like, nope, nothing to see here, move along.
Really?
Yeah. He even quotes one CIA guy who basically admitted they were trying to make anyone who saw something look like a total nut job.
Wow. So they weren't just ignoring it. They were like going out of their way to bury it.
Exactly. Makes you wonder what they were so scared of, right?
No kidding. But hey, at least things are different now, right?
Right. We're not in the Stone Age anymore. People are smarter now, more willing to question things, especially when the government says, just trust us.
Plus, you've got the internet now, right? Everyone's got a voice.
Exactly. It's like you can't just control the narrative anymore. People talk, they share information, and suddenly it's a lot harder to keep secrets.
It's like we're finally breaking free from these old ways of thinking. Who knows what we'll discover now that we're actually allowed to ask questions?
That's what's so exciting. It's a little scary too, sure, but mostly exciting. We're challenging everything we thought we knew and pushing ourselves to grow.
I love it. So to everyone listening who's hopefully just as fascinated by this stuff as we are, here's something to think about. We've explored some pretty wild possibilities today, from government cover-ups to, well, you know, the possibility that we're not alone. But this is just the beginning. Keep asking those questions, keep digging for answers, and whatever you do, don't be afraid to consider the impossible. Because as we've seen today, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. Thanks for coming along on this incredible deep dive with us. We'll be back next time with even more mind-blowing mysteries. Until then, keep exploring.
And so, Carl, here's the $1 million question. Do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
Right. So non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing. And there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that.